Today we're going to continue reading Get Well Soon, our chapter about smallpox. My favorite story about the Spaniards' horrific relationship with Amerindians, meaning the native people, comes from John Campbell's An Account of the Spanish Settlements in America. In this 18th century report, Campbell relays how the Spaniards reached Cuba in the 16th century and committed the most horrid barbarities ever to taint the page of history. Before burning one native person at the stake, a Spanish friar told him that if he would embrace their religion, he would go to heaven. But if not, he would burn in hell forever. The Cuban asked if there were any Spaniards in heaven. The friar responded that there were. The Cuban replied, "If it be so, I would rather be with the devils in hell." Sick burn, Cuban guy. Nicely done. High five through time and space. Now that everyone is clear that the Spaniards behaved deplorably in regard to America's native populace, we can ask how they won such a mismatched battle with the Incas and went on to take over the entire region. The Spaniards had their own opinions on their success. At the time, they seemed to think their unlikely victory was due to the fact that they were excellent Christians. They were zealous and devout. The message that Pizarro's brothers sent back to King Charles of Spain explained their victory over the Incas. It was not accomplished by our own forces, for there were so few of us. It was by the grace of God, which is great. I strongly suspect that 16th century Spaniards merely skimmed the numerous "don't be awful" portions of the Bible. Another explanation for their victory is that the Spaniards had horses and guns and the Incas did not. The equipment certainly helped, but it's a stretch to believe that this factor alone would have been adequate against such a large Incan force. Even the fervently religious Spaniards at the time understood that the odds were against them. They were scared. One of Pizarro's companions wrote, "The Indians' camp looked like a very beautiful city. They had so many tents that we were all filled with apprehension. Until then, we had never seen anything like this in the Indies. It filled all our Spaniards with fear and confusion. Even if they did credit the victory to God, most Spaniards seemed to think that it was a weird fluke that they won such a mismatched battle, especially because Pizarro had waged similar expeditions against the Incas in 1524 and 1526, and found that his army was too small and weak for effective combat against them. The better explanation for their victory than God intervening on behalf of a bloodthirsty conquering army or the Spaniards' semi-okay guns and horses was the extent to which the Incas had been devastated by the arrival of smallpox. So complete was the chaos surrounding the smallpox outbreak that Francisco Pizarro was able to seize an empire the size of Spain and Italy combined with a force of 168 men. Victory didn't hinge on guns and horses. It hinged on one man, a lone, diseased Spaniard believed to have introduced smallpox to Incan society around 1525. Today we know that smallpox is caused by the variola virus. Once someone is infected, they develop a fever up to 104 degrees, which is sometimes accompanied by vomiting. Then they break out in a rash, which turns into bumpy pustules filled with clear liquid or pus. These later crust over and fall off, leaving pox marks on the skin. Now, that description makes the disease sound unsightly, but not deadly. Chickenpox, which is caused by a different virus, bears some resemblance and very rarely kills anyone. Meanwhile, smallpox is generally fatal in about 30% of the people it infects, though it would kill far more native people. The best we understand it, the very condensed explanation for this death rate, which a wonderful doctor friend of mine provided, is that smallpox makes your immune system go nuts. You die because your immune system kills you. The technical term is an uncontrolled immune response. Your immune system identifies an intruding virus or bacteria, and in its attempt to rid the body of danger, freaks out. The chickenpox virus doesn't generally provoke such a violent response in the body. It mostly just hangs out relatively harmlessly in your cells, sometimes causing new symptoms years later. Prior to the outbreak of smallpox, the Inca civilization was thriving, in large part due to the ruler Huayna Capac. When he assumed control in 1493, the empire was already enormous. It stretched from Argentina all the way up to Colombia, encompassing half of South America. He visited each province to meet with governors. He oversaw repairs of infrastructure like irrigation systems and encouraged the planting of new crops like peanuts and cotton. During this time, he commanded over 55,000 troops and waged several victorious campaigns. We will pick up with smallpox again next time.